All right. So I'd like to begin by saying that my heart goes out to our country and the global community during the COVID-19 pandemic, and especially to Nova Scotia, who must simultaneously deal with a senseless tragedy. You are all in my prayers. Okay, and a big hello to, who's here? Jacqueline, my daughter, and my niece Carolyn. Okay, two, yes. Anyhow, I would like to, just begin by the introduction, I guess, in case there's someone that doesn't know. So a big hello out there to all you ladies and gentlemen, and obviously the rest of us. Welcome to Crosstalk Podcast number 3, brought to you from at or near BC's epicenter of COVID-19 in the southwest corner of the West End of Vancouver. I'm David Paul Anthony Gerard, aka Super Dave, and occasionally Dangerous Dave. I'm the host and only member of the Crosstalk production crew. Harry Truman's motto was, "The buck stops here." Well, my motto is, "The buck starts here." In other words, hurry, pass the buck. I was out walking today to pick up a few items of, just going to adjust this a little bit. A few items of coffee, like coffee and groceries. Nice cup of coffee is what I was after. And so I'd, picked everything up, and I began to cross Burrard Street. And when I was almost halfway across the intersection, the car turning left off Davie Street sped up and cut right in front of me, missing me by about 3 feet. I just had no time to react, but fortunately, nothing happened. But it was the car behind that car that really angered me, because the driver didn't see me until I yelled and stepped back out of the way. He would have hit me. And thankfully, it slowed down just enough for me to haul off and kick the side of the car. And it made that distinct dent sound. And it continued down the street, and I headed home. That's the first time I've ever kicked a car since moving to Vancouver, but I've slammed my fists on a couple of hoods. Earlier today, I was communicating with my nephew, Joel, and he asked me why I changed the name of the podcast from The Oddcast, and I told him that I'm quite sure that someone probably already has that name, so I don't want to, get confused with it, like a really good one. But then it got me thinking, and before long, the name Pod Couple was on my radar, mostly because I like the sound of it, the Pod Couple. I was about to discard it when I started to make sense in some convoluted way. Firstly, it would pay homage to The Odd Couple, which was a show that we used to watch years ago, starring Tony Randall as Felix Unger and Jack Klugman as Oscar Madison. It's about two very different people living in the same apartment. Secondly, my brother Dave and I are in a similar setup. And this will appease Dave somewhat, as he would have been receiving half the recognition for the podcast. A win-win situation for all four of us. it just might stick. And I see, hi Leslie, I see that you're there from down Ontario way. I hope you are all well and staying safe, and all your family is doing good. And I refer to my brother Dave, fairly often in this thing, and I really don't have a brother Dave, but I have this imaginary twin brother Dave, identical twin brother Dave, and sometimes I kind of get him in the hot water, blame things on him, that sort of thing. So anyhow, so after the last show, I decided to start a memoir infused with the odd poem. I got a good start, but found that there was time-consuming research involved, and I was writing a lot of filler to come up with enough material. I decided to do it chronologically for, in 7-year chunks. And I found that a week to prepare wasn't a big enough window, and was real concerned with the third installment, which is when I'm 14 to 21 years old. I would probably have to censor about 70% of the material, and that would force me to write a lot about nothing or lie a lot. I've decided to present my memoirs non-chronologically and seed them with the odd poem or song. Okay, in brief, this is just to give a little history here. Just going to pull this thing down a little bit. There we go. In brief, I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital in Victoria, BC on the 20th of February, 1957. So in 1964, if you do the math, I was 7 years old when we moved from Victoria to Salt Spring Island. After high school graduation in 75, I moved from Salt Spring Island to Edmonton, Alberta, where I lived for 10 years, and then I lived and worked there, here, there, and everywhere for the rest of the time after. So all over the place. Anyhow, I'm going to go back today to a little bit of stuff when I was a kid, and you might find some of it interesting. When we were in Victoria, which was we lived from 1959 to 64, we lived at 1100 Ptolemy Avenue, phone number EV36366. And it's forever etched in my brain because I was told that I will need this information if there's an emergency or if I get lost. I know that I was quite young when I had it committed to memory, not sure what age, but 6 decades later, and it's as fresh as yesterday. When I was sick, my best friend was Damien Reed, and he lived about a block up the street. We would play at each other's house. There was 7 kids in his family and 5 in ours, so we seldom got bored. Damien and I went to the same school called Holy Angels. And that's an oxymoron if I ever heard, if there ever was one, because, I don't think we were quite that. In the mornings before school, I would walk up the street and go up to Damien's place, and they had a panel van. I would get into the van with Damien's dad, of course, was driving, and with him and his 3 older brothers. And then we would head off to Holy Angels. But when I get out, I quite often glance back because I liked this thing, and it was that it was a slogan The slogan was "Sharp as a whistle." His dad ran a saw repair, and drawn was the face of a guy that looked like Popeye, but he was whistling. The van was yellow, and the signage was either dark chocolate or black. I can't quite remember. But it is just amazing how a person can remember something that occurred more than 50 years ago in such detail, yet struggle to remember what happened yesterday. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Damien and I were both in kindergarten, but in different classes. And in my class, I don't know what he was doing in his, but in mine, I always liked playing with these, they call them rods, I think. And they're square wooden rods, and each rod was worth, there were 3 different denominations, 10, 5, 2, and 1. And so the 10 was the longest, 5 was half of that. And they also, they're also recognizable by their different colors. And it's kind of amazing because I learned how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide with those things. And it was kind of fun for me. We even built log cabins with them, but yeah. Our post-school routine was to meet in the play area and walk straight to the bus stop because we finished earlier than Damien's brothers. Of course, we were in kindergarten. They were in the higher grades. So they're in school a little later. And so we walked straight to the bus stop, and we would get on the bus, pay the fare with tickets. Well, this day, Damien went in ahead of me and then suddenly turned around and started bawling and came back out of the bus. And this is weird. So I, what's wrong? And, we sat down on the bench there, and he says, I've lost my ticket. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. So, we're trying to make a plan, and, he's saying, what are we going to do? And I go, hold on. Oh yeah, I've got a nickel taped, in my lunchbox, into the top of the lunchbox. And, I thought, we could use that. But then I remembered what my mother said. She said, do not use that for anyone but yourself. So, I kind of, it's like, oh, wow, what are we going to do? And then I suggested we walk home. And Damien said, well, I don't know how to get there, and it's too far to walk. And I said, well, I know how to get there, and I think we can walk far enough. Let's give it a try. So we thought about it for a while, and then we started walking, and the walk was just under 2 miles, which when you're a kid that age seems like a little, quite a bit. And so, but we only had to take 2 turns in the entire route, but it did take a while. So when I got home, my mother asked, why are you late? Why were you late? What's happening? And so I explained what happened, and she asked why I didn't give Damien a nickel. And I said, Mom, you told me explicitly or whatever. I didn't use that language at that age, but you told me it was only for me to use and for no one else. Then she said, if it happens again, you can go ahead and give it to him. The important thing was that you didn't abandon him and you arrived safely at home. I'd like to think that Damien would have done the same for me or vice versa. I'm sure he would. But also, after, writing down this memory, I wonder if Damien's mom ever decided to tape a nickel into the into his lunchbox after that. But it would be interesting to know. So that's that. I just want to acknowledge whoever else is here. Kirsty, hi Kirsty, and Carolyn Langdon, hi Carolyn. I love this stuff, she says, and I said, I love you. So now, a place that was really the greatest place in my mind, in my maybe even my whole life, but definitely my childhood, was only 3 blocks away from our house, and it was called Peacock Hill. And I don't know where it got the name Peacock from, but that's what it was. And it was quite a steep hill, with and the only hill that size for quite a ways, within the city of Victoria. And it had a panoramic view. It was really nice. And hold on, Leslie's got my attention there. I don't know if I should stop in the middle of stuff or wait, but actually, Leslie, yeah, she's asking if I got in contact with Damien. And yeah, actually, he got in contact with me on Facebook a few months ago. And that's probably partly why it's sticking in my head. And also, I have my youngest grandson's name is Damien. So that was another thing that was kind of cool. So back to Peacock Hill. Yeah, and it was just kind of like if you've been around Victoria before, you've seen it. These areas where there's a little bit of grass, a lot of it's rock, with Gary oak trees. So you can just imagine, a Gary oak meadow or something like that. But this is right on the top of a hill, and like I said, with 360 degrees view, so you could see everywhere. And you could, like when you're a kid, you just look around, and it's just so nice. But anyhow, so I had a couple of, I wrote a poem about it, and then I've since written another piece about it. And I'll start with the poem, and it's called Peacock Hill, of all things. And let me just try. I don't know if this is even worthwhile doing, but let's just see. I think I can get it there. Okay, so it's getting a little dark in here. I probably should turn the light on. And I forgot to unplug the fridge again. Okay, Peacock Hill. Of Peacock Hill, my childhood will come back to me in vivid imagery. Oftentimes, I climb that knoll of hope to find majestic peacocks who've thus far eluded me. One pleasant spring day, spent at ease in the warm embrace of a gentle breeze that glides through the trees to gather scents from nature's bouquet and merge with leaves as organic debris. A potpourri swept up in this whimsical ride to flutter, swirl, and slowly succumb as gravity rains them down to a gentle repose, nary a whisper. I lay sprawling out on a small patch of grass in a solitary haven amongst outcrops of rocks and Gary oak trees, whose massive trunks support many limbs that twist and turn in every direction, all kinked, gnarled, and wrinkly, like a tower of scarecrows entwined with each other, or the hands and skin of old people I see. Leaves anew, remnants of morning dew sway, glisten then fade, somewhat grayed by the shade. The earth's rotation plays the kaleidoscope today. Huge boulders of rock adorned with moist, lush moss give refuge to tiny insects that share their domain with wildflowers unaware that some had been born by birds in the air. Seems impossible to drink it all in, and even when time briefly surrenders itself, the one constant that keeps coming around is there are no peacocks or plumes to be found on this hallowed ground. So that's that one. Obviously, I really like the place because I wrote a poem about it. But then there's the, I got to get a quick drink here. Then there's the other side of it. Especially just before we left Victoria, the neighborhood was kind of, having some bullies around and stuff like that, some thugs. So here's the other side of it. I was told not to go alone up to Peacock Hill because there were some mean kids up there. And one afternoon, I took Damien with me so I wouldn't be alone. Now, that might not have been my parents' definition of alone. They probably meant that I was supposed to have an adult, but this is what happened. It was my favorite place in the whole wide world. A little while after arriving there, we heard some people approach from the other side of the hill. So we walked over to the road to be ready to run if we had to. And of course, they were there. They yelled at us to go home or they beat us up, and they started to chase us. We were really scared, and I told Damien to run home as fast as he could because he was a slower runner. And I zigzagged like a jackrabbit to slow them down as we ran down the very steep hill, and they almost caught me. But then I began to run straight downhill as fast as I could. And halfway down the hill, my legs were going so fast that I got out of control and fell forward, using my hands to break the fall, and did an ugly somersault and got my feet back underneath me, then continued running until I caught up with Damien at the bottom of the hill, then looked back to see that the bullies had given up chase. So we're okay. We got away. We both walked home almost unscathed, but my hand took some gravel and was bleeding. So I went home, washed it off, put a couple of bandages on it, and hid it from everyone for a couple of days because I felt that if I was asked about it, that I would have to tell the truth, like little kids do, which would get me into big trouble. So a couple of days later, it hurt so much during the night that I went sobbing to Mom and Dad's bedroom. Mom got up, felt my forehead, and stuck a thermometer in my mouth and confirmed what she thought. I was running a high fever. She asked me if anything happened to me, and I said I scraped my hand on the gravel road. So she took a look at the pussy mess, I guess, on the palm of my hand, and fortunately, she also looked at my arm to discover a red vein running almost to my shoulder. We got to the hospital in record time to get the wound cleaned out and have some penicillin administered. It was diagnosed as blood poisoning, and I was quite ill for a couple of days. And the thing that was the worst about everything of that was that for the next few days, I had to soak my hand in like scalding hot salt water 3 times a day until all the, poison had been drawn out. But anyhow, thank God for penicillin. And yeah, it does seem so odd that your favorite place ever can also be the place that can kick you in the butt. But Peacock Hill is still my favorite place ever. So there's another park that I'm sure everyone is, I got to get another little sip here, that everyone's familiar with. And that's Beacon Hill Park. It's a huge park. It's 200 acres. And it made a big impression on me and I did write a poem about this place, but it was slightly different. The fact that you could walk 2 blocks from the sheltered inner harbor and enter the north end of the park to then walk way past many things of interest, like, most notably for me, the large trees, the Gary oak trees, massive redwoods and sequoias, because I like climbing things. And then finally, the Spirit Totem Pole. The Spirit Pole is at the south end of the park, bordering on the exposed shore of Dallas Road. It stands a very impressive 127 feet high. When it was first put in, it was the highest totem pole in the world, but it was not long after there was a bigger one put up. But and it was erected in 1956, just in time to greet me for my birth the next year. As a family, we would have picnics in the park, and Dad pitched in many softball games at Haywood Ballpark Field, which is within the confines of Beacon Hill Park. So here's a poem about that. Oh, Jill's there too. Yay, antibiotics. Hope you're doing well, Jill. Okay. No, I think you guys can see this. I'm hoping. And if not, you can just listen. So this one's called Monkey Tree Puzzle. Of Peacock Hill and Beacon Hill Park, are they merely a stroll and a lark? The peacocks stalk Beacon, but not their own hill. A famous resident of Beacon Hill Park is Queenie, the powerful, towering workhorse whose dark, knowing eyes draw you right in with desire to be petted, and it happens, of course. And they're all kinds of animals, so it seems like a zoo to be. I see something unusual that captivates me. It has a trunk and sparse branches, all barbed with thorns, the only tree monkeys can't climb, or so I've been informed. What's wrong with monkeys? It's very puzzling to me. Why can't they climb up that stupid tree? I begin to search the entire park grounds, but there are no test monkeys to be found. I cross paths with some peacocks who boast of elegance and color, with plumes that spread out like an oriental fan, or cards neatly sorted in a player's hand. I'm closing in to take a good look, when suddenly my heart leaps for the skies. Staring back at me are thousands of eyes. What will happen when a peacock cries? Will their eyes shed many tears? Then it begins on cue. The high-pitched primal screams, a new experience for me, so offensive to my hearing that I'm straining to see. while the multitude of eyes bore into my soul. I'm off in a streak far away from there. Senses recovering, I look up, and looming above is that prickly tree puzzle that monkeys can't solve. It's time to grow up, face fears, and face tears and climb past fears. My small, soft hands carefully grasp onto the spine of the thorn. Good purchase insured, one hand slowly follows the other. While in unison up go my feet. Thanks to my shoes, only thorn and rubber meet. My slender body leans slightly away from the trunk. But there's already a scratch on my right knee. The entire technique is repeated at a snail's pace by me. I bet a dumb snail could climb this stupid tree. My goal is to reach the top where I hope to see a whole bunch of people marveling at me. The kid at the top of the tree no monkey can climb, no monkey but me. I've now scaled past the second limb. At twice my height above ground, goosebumps abound. My entire face is one big grin as the real fun begins. Adrenaline kicks in to pick up the pace. A sudden thunderous sound makes my heart race. Son, what are you doing up there? Get down from that tree or I'll spank you, I swear. I push myself back, free of the tree, so gravity takes over, and I drop down to hit the ground, feet first, and roll once around. None the worse for wear, just a scratch or two and mussed up hair. My dad says, Son, what's gotten into you? I told you before, these are the trees monkeys can't climb. And I said, Hey, Dad, I wanted to prove that I'm not a monkey by climbing this tree. If I were a monkey, I'd live in a zoo where they'd feed me bananas and clean up my poo. Don't be smart. It seems I'm not the only little monkey. It seems I'm not the little monkey you thought I was. I love my dad, and Dad loves me. An unsolved puzzle is that monkey tree. Next time, I'll smuggle some gloves so I can climb faster to the top of the tree and bask in the sun. A sight beheld by everyone. Yes, I won. Thanks to the inspirational monkeys for all the fun. My entire existence evolves around you, who live in a circus inside my zoo. And that's that. It was kind of neat. It's part, I stretched the truth a little bit on that one, but it's pretty much, on cue. But right under here, I've got written flying monkeys in the one-armed man. Oh, see, I didn't get finished. So I had, as children, well, actually, I had one other thing. I forgot about that one. But, that really scare the bejesus out of you, and you end up having nightmares about them. And I think the first one for me was a Big Bad Wolf, and it was from a cartoon or something. And I would just, it was awful, But then finally my dad said, why don't you just fight back? And I fought back and beat up the Big Bad Wolf, I guess. And I never had that problem anymore. But the other ones were the flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz. That just scared the ever-living you-know-what out of me. And then the one-armed man in, what was that show? In The Fugitive. And it was just because there was so much suspense built around this one-armed man. You rarely saw him, but just the fact that he's lurking out there somewhere would, just have you on pins and needles for, episode after episode. So, yeah, that's the two things. Where am I at for time? not too bad. Let's see what I got. If I got something here. Oh. You know, this always happens to me. Every time I do this, oh, there it is. I kind of lose things. Oh, come on. There we are. Okay. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at things, that's all I have. And I was aiming for 45 minutes, and you know, it's a bit shy of it. But I think if I keep trying to stretch things out, it's going to get real boring real fast. And I don't know how long COVID-19 is going to last. So, you know, I might run a little short on material. So I'll just maybe look. I forgot that I still had that on there. So hello again. So what I was thinking I'd sing, I've never got the words for it and never really sung it myself before, but it's happens to be another John Prine song. But I'm gonna get some other songs here eventually, and shortly thereafter I will sign off. So before shortly thereafter, I'd like to thank everyone who did tune in, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope to have another one next week, and it may be called The Pod Couple, but I'm not sure. I could change the name every week. That would be lots of fun, but not much continuity in that. Okay, this one is called Christmas in Prison by John Prine. See if I can get it here. It was Christmas in prison, and the food was real good. We had turkey and pistols carved out of wood. I dream of her always, even when I don't dream. Her name's on my tongue, and her blood's in my strings. Wait a while, eternity. Oh, Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. I'm rolling, my sweetheart, I'm flowing, by God. She reminds me of a chess game with someone I admire, or a picnic in the rain after a prairie fire. Her heart is as big as this whole goddamn jail, and she's sweeter than saccharin at a drugstore sale. Wait a while, eternity. Oh, Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. I'm rolling, my sweetheart, I'm flowing, by God. The searchlight in the big yard turns round with the gun and spotlights the snowflakes like the dust in the sun. It's Christmas in prison. There'll be music tonight. I'll probably get homesick. I'll love you good night. Wait a while, eternity. Oh, Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. I'm rolling, my sweetheart, I'm flowing, by God. So, yes, that's it. And I hope Oh, you know, the thing is, I'm not used to looking down on this, so I will acknowledge some people. Oh, Jill thought I lived my entire youth on Salt Spring Island. See, now you know. Samantha, hi, Samantha. And Jill agrees on the monkeys. Oh, so does Samantha. Creepy. But for me, it was The Exorcist. Oh, God, Exorcist. Wish I never watched it, said Jill. R.I.P. John Prine from Samantha. That's right, Samantha. Yeah. But he's in a better place, I think, because he was ill before that before he got iller or sicker, whatever. But Paulette Langdon, I'm here better late than never. Well, it's probably over, isn't it? I don't know. But Paulette, you can look at it later on my Facebook page, so it's not a problem. Okay, so I'm about to say goodbye, and if Leslie's still on, you get the prize for being the person from the furthest away. Thank you again for joining us, and if you get a chance, although I don't know, it's hard to get time to do things these days with that COVID-19 happening. Anyhow, it'd be great to see you next week. So here I am, signing off to all you guys, and I got to find out where the button is. I'll figure it out in a minute. Anyhow, peace out. God bless.